All right, we're rolling here, and this is going to be a great podcast. We got Frank Koren. Hey there. Is it Koren? Is that the right?
Yeah, no. Koren's the correct way, yes. Koren.
But my phone is the correct way, and it calls him Korean.
Oh, yeah.
Please call Frank Koren. Did you mean Frank Korean? No. You're not Korean. I'm just saying.
No. There's a funny story with that one we can dive into later about that last name. So it's pretty funny.
Good. I was going to ask you before we started rolling, but I think we'll figure it out at some point.
Totally good. Very good.
And Ed Mortenson, how you doing?
Yes, sir. Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here. We became affiliated with my podcast, anyways, as you became a sponsor with your company, Mornin Buzz Coffee. And they got the mug sitting right there. And it's great stuff. You sent me some a bag of goodies, good beans there. And seriously enjoyed it. I actually got to make another order. So I'm running a little low on the coffee.
Ooh, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like those.
Yeah, and we've had your guests come in and purchase some coffee from us too, which is
awesome. Oh, that's good. Who came in? Do you know? Was Ian came in?
Thank you for that. Oh, Lee Ian came in. I know Jim Witter's been in a bunch of times because I do the deliveries up to Jim's place here in Hamilton.
Good.
So yeah,
awesome.
I can't think of the other names offhand right now, but if I go back in there, I'll find it.
Perfect. So, Frank, you're a guitar player, and
I am.
Ed, a drummer, as you can tell by the stuff behind you. You've got Remo and drum heads and stuff. There you go.
Drum kits.
What kind of kit's that?
It's a Sonar.
Oh, cool.
That's my baby, Sonar Vintage, right there.
Yeah, nice. I like the. It's a nice looking kit.
Yeah, it's it hasn't been out of the house for a while.
Yeah.
There's been no need to pull it out.
Either have I.
Exactly right. Here, let's go this way. Here we go. Hey-o.
And Frank, guitar man. So you both are kind of in the music industry for years and play on kind of various types of music. And I kind of did a little bit of deeper dive before we rolled here to get myself a bit better acquainted. But you guys, you've been all over the place and been musicians for a long time. And you got to, let's first of all, let's talk a little coffee. We'll get that out of the way and maybe dive into the music stuff.
Sure,
But how did you guys get together and decided, okay, we're going to start Mornin Buzz Coffee?
Well, Frank, go ahead, bud.
Well, here it goes.
This is a lot. It's deep.
Yeah.
Go deep.
No, let's go deep. It starts. I'll give this fact: on the road, when you can't get into a town, a good coffee on the road is an Americano from Starbucks.
Yeah.
So you have those road stops, the en routes through the States.
Sorry.
A lot of ours. No, it's perfectly fine.
Hey, how did you get out? I thought you weren't allowed out of the house.
I sent someone
Skip
for
the
it.
dishes. Skip the dishes.
Yes.
Skip the dishes, of course.
So we even and a lot of our ventures would start through New York State, when we were going to the U.S. So they have a couple of Starbucks on the different interstates heading out of Buffalo.
Yeah.
So the one particular one, there was some difficulties in our order. It wasn't anything that we were ordering. It was just very difficult on the person working behind there.
On
so
a Starbucks interstate location?
Yeah, it took a while.
Didn't get your order correct? Really? I've never got one correct interstate Starbucks location. I order my go-to drink is Starbucks double shot on ice. So it's three shots of espresso on ice with, and I modify it with 2 pumps of sugar-free cinnamon dolce, and they shake it and pour it out with, and I add a little bit of heavy cream, just a tad, smash. But
and they get it right.
It's like ordering a old fashioned.
Right.
There's 3 ingredients.
Yeah.
And every place you go to will make it completely different.
Yeah.
And it will be like sometimes you get it and you just look at it and go, "What is that?"
So let me ask you this then: what things do they do wrong?
It's usually proportion, mostly, or
the mix.
Yeah, the mix. Yeah. Not shaking it right because it's a big part of it because it foams up. So sometimes you get someone will do it, and they'll go like chukunk, and that's it, right? And then pour it out, or else you'll get someone you can do it too much. I've had that where I had a girl do it once when she'd sit there and shaking it forever, and she poured it out, and she poured out all the foam, and she went away and dumped all the drink to clean out. So she got rid of half the drink, and almost all foam was, and I was like, there's nothing here. But I've gotten to a point where I just make them, I'll just like, no, you have to do that again. I buy too many, buy too many of these.
Too much money, man.
Yeah, they are expensive.
Our go-to is mine is a four ristretto shot Americano upside down, which is, we shouldn't have to order it upside down, but that means you put the shots on top of the water. Yeah, the way an Americano is actually supposed to be made, and then adds a bit of steamed milk and a couple of raw sugars. So pretty basic. The upside down part is usually messed up all the time, and that's sort of where it flowers on top, right? That gives all that flavor, like that crema on top.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, this particular order a couple of years ago took about 25 to 30 minutes, and the driver at the time just said, "We're never stopping there again. We're never stopping at Starbucks again." So we love our coffee, and we love our good coffee, so we put together a little road case, and it had a kettle in it. It had a French press. It had a grinder.
It does. We still have it.
We still have it. Yes.
It's just waiting to go back on the road. That's it.
It hasn't been on the road.
Waiting in the garage.
It did go out in August. They went out to Calgary.
With old beans in it. We didn't even know we had beans in it still.
So we created this thing, and we have a 1,000-watt inverter on this converted darts bus. So we're boiling hot water as we're hurtling down the highways and making French press coffee on the bus. And
at 120 kilometers, 130 kilometers an hour, we thought it'd be a good idea to boil hot water on the bus.
Living dangerously. Yeah. Rock and roll's a vicious game, But and Ed, I think we're talking about, how we can reduce the cost of this by maybe we can go after a couple of small batch roasters and see, hey, can you send us a sample? And so
But just before that a little bit, Frank. We have, as you know, a lot of hours on the bus and a lot of hours of just, talking nonsense or whatever. And we started coming up with some ideas of, we wanted to have a company that had a play on words. So we came up with a company called just fictional, just in the air, just being creative and brainstorming, called Wake and Bake. And we wanted to have a brick and mortar where the wake part was your coffee and the bake part was organic, homemade baked goods. Yeah. But the play on wake and bake. So that's where it kind of started, was just basically just coming up with ideas. Oh, how cool would it be if we could have our own business doing this, our own coffee company, and then what could we give to the community? Like what value would we have to give the community? So anyway, sorry, Frank. I just wanted to because a lot of hours, right, leading up.
And just one day we were like, with the idea of asking for beans from roasters. Then Ed just kind of, I think it was Ed said, well, we should just roast our own coffee and have our own coffee company. And that was like this little fist bump. Went okay, and then and one of the guys in the bus is an entrepreneur, and he was kind of a bit of our, we bounce ideas off him, and he loved hearing this grow from, first getting the domain name to Wake and Bake all these. And then one day Ed called me and said, have you checked Wake and Bake when you Google it? And there was already three
even going back though, we went and looked at brick and mortars. Yeah. We were ready to pull the trigger on actually leasing a place and having a place, Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one in Thorold. I forgot about that one.
The old COVID thing that came around the corner kind of dodged a bullet there, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, the idea of then becoming, let's become a coffee company, and brick and mortar will be something later down the road. We did look at one just before COVID hit, and it was like one of these. I was on a tour. I said, "Oh, if it's still there, we'll look at it again." We actually made arrangements with our realtor to set up a date, and then the dominoes just started. Said, okay, no, we're going to launch as an online company, and we had set April 2nd versus April 1st because we didn't want to do April Fools. Probably a year before that, we had set that date. So that's sort of our target. Whether it's a soft or hard launch, that's when we want to launch. And and we had a pandemic to contend with, but here we are. So that was the short story, and I've missed
Rewinding back though, Frank, sorry, I interrupted you because you were going to tell a great point of how we got to Mornin Buzz, the name.
Oh.
So we were wake and bake. We had gone through, we had, checked to see if the copyright was there, trademark. We did all that stuff, but we didn't pull the trigger on it. And then one day I was just sitting on the couch looking at social media, checking out wake and bake stuff, whatever. And there was a company that popped up from Winnipeg and called Wake and Bake. So I looked and I'm like 2018. So it's the same year we kind of started up. So I was thinking, really, what's the chances of two, starting up at the same time? And I thought, well, because what did we do, Frank? We got a copyright for our name, or
we just got one of the domains.
Was it the bus driver? Started his own.
No. We just it was a bus driver. He's listening. We should check that. Hang on.
Yeah, right. Well, then,
I think we had just a .com or a .ca
or something like that. But we were in motion to that name was what we were working with, right?
Yeah.
So then when I found this company, I'm like, I wonder if we could kind of challenge them to, who was first. And then I did a little more research. I realized they have a coffee cup out already with a bowl on the end of it. Oh. So you could drink your coffee, then you could turn around and the handle is your pipe and you could smoke a bowl. Well, how do you compete with that? Like, it was a no-brainer.
It was THC and CBD infused coffee. So we were like, okay, that's not what we were going for. So
so a different game.
Time for a new name.
Yeah. And it was disappointing because we loved all the little puns and fun we could have with that play on words name. So it was kind of a real letdown. Then I was just kind of brainstorming, thinking about, well, what could be the similar thing? We're not THC infused or CBD anything. We have nothing to do with that. But I came up with the name Mornin Buzz. So, because that's your morning buzz. What's the first buzz you get of every morning is your coffee, if you're a coffee drinker.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's perfect. I mean, it's an easy name to remember, and your logo is very, you spot it right away, and it's very rememberable, and it's well put together. The colors are great too. I don't know any other coffee company that's in those color palettes.
Yellow.
And,
bright yellow, and once we decided on that, we purchased morninbuzz.com, .ca, .org, .edu, .buzz, which is our current one. We sort of own those for a year just in case someone else decided they like the name.
Yeah.
You can't have it. You have no domains.
Yeah.
It's hard
and trademarked as well too.
Yeah.
You start searching for that stuff. I know I own 50 or 60 domains. And just because, right? And there's stuff I may not ever use, but I've bought for our family stuff. I bought people's names and spin on theaters and like everything you could ever think of that was kind of available. I just went searching. What about this? What about this? And then it's like, most of them are like $3.99 for the year. Sold.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and we went a little deeper when we went into the NIACS search. It was like we're a trademark search, and then to make sure no one else is using it, and then actually putting the trademark into Canada to register the trademark so that we can, we'll probably get the register from the government. It's registered, but it takes about 1.5 to 2 years to actually get that little R. And then you can put that on your bags as well. So then you're fully, but as we stand, we're fully protected with that name. So now we're happy, happy and operating. And that's the short story.
Do you have to think about registering outside of Canada at this point? Just to, it's expensive, I know, right?
There's more expense when go down in the U.S. And just the whole process of food product, because you're dealing with the FDA going into America. There's a whole gamut that has to be involved in that, So,
but just protecting your name in the U.S. just in case.
No, it's a good idea. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
I've known. I've had a couple music shows that I've had that issue, or American shows. Kind of tribute type shows, and all of a sudden there's, one that shows up in Canada or someone, that's 99% the same, right? And this is like, okay, that's a problem. You start touring a show, and all of a sudden there's another one out there that's similar and not nearly as good. That can be an issue, but so how do you go about starting coffee company? That's the always thing. How do you source beans, and how do you decide this is what you're going with?
Well, I think step one is the brand, like the actual, like a logo. Like if you have an idea for a coffee company or a diaper company. Well, the item that you're going for, coffee or diapers, is clear cut.
Yeah.
But the brand and the image and the image you're trying to portray to the community, I think you better have that pretty clear in your head to build off of. And then from there, sourcing beans. I mean, we met a really great guy at the Toronto Tea and Coffee Expo that ended up just being our guru. And we just lucked out. Hey, Frank, it feels like we won the lottery.
Yeah.
We can ask him. We have asked him everything and anything, and he's taken us under. His whole family has taken us under his wings, and they've been dealing with coffee for 50 plus years.
Yeah. Wow.
The family. So
since the 1950s they've been coffee and tea. So
yeah.
And we spent a couple of tours not sleeping because we were sampling, trying to which roast are we going to go with, which are going to be our the four. Yeah. The sort of the light, medium, dark, and decaf. What are roasts going to be? So we had to try them all.
Darren, at one time, Frank and I had boxes like 12 by 9 full of coffee.
Wow.
Each that we were trying. Like we could. It was crazy.
Well, but then so with our respective spouses, we said, okay, we're going to spend this week. I think you were away, and then I was at home. And so just try each one of these, because we narrowed it down a little bit, but we still need to narrow it, and make a list. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of these 8, which ones do you like?
Yeah.
So both of our top 4s were the same as we came back, and that was without any communication. We said, "Oh, this is so."
Of 4 people too, not just Frank and I, but like our wives as well.
Yeah. So it was a long process, because it had to be fantastic to be the bean we wanted out there. It couldn't just be, that's okay. It's like, no, it's, of course, it's got to drop me that's the flavor profile I want for that, for that medium roast or for that light roast.
You would think that like most people that own a coffee company be like, oh, I drink it every single day, but we literally do. Like I wouldn't drink anything else. And I've had some Kona coffee recently.
Yes.
That was out of this world, but that was a gift, a small gift.
I've been
$130 a pound.
I've been there in Hawaii. I went to the factory, and and they had you can go in and they have taste testing galore, right? They have a massive amount of flavors. And it's one of those things where when you get it right there at the source, and you probably kind of can relate to that. After it, maybe you get it, whatever, a week or 2 later or whatever it's been. But I know right there was amazing. There was a couple I got, and got it home, and it was still amazing. But maybe it had to do with just being
in Hawaii,
and their cold brew is outstanding.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, it's the best I've ever had. Yeah. So it's
it's probably one of the best next to Mornin Buzz Coffee, of course. Yeah. It's probably the best coffee I've ever had in my life. It was just, I like cream, a little bit of cream, steamed milk too. Or whatever, or cream, and 2 raw sugar. That's my thing. Oh, yeah. I drank this thing black as night. I was just, I wouldn't want to put anything in it to change that flavor.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Well, I guess it would be something that you both would have to agree upon too, right? It's not as if that flavor profile you both have. I mean, and that would be a difficult thing to know that, okay, we both have to decide this is, this is the profile.
That was what was sort of, serendipitous when we came back with our lists. And went, whoa, okay, we picked that. It was okay. And then I think we still did another week or 2 of, let's make sure that was what we did. I remember sitting in your kitchen and brewing them, and emptying out the grinder, cleaning it out so there was no grinds whatsoever from the other bean. And coming up. So that was a long process. And then, all the technical with anything, with getting incorporated and all the master license and banking.
There was also there was the bags, which was the biggest pain in our beeps that you could imagine. You'd think that would be easy. That was the hardest thing by far. then getting like logos made up of the roasts, and then getting language translated properly, and getting like a lot went into just that package.
So what was the issue with the bags?
Well, so certification, like organic certification, fair trade certification, they have, we want the amount of coffee bean in there. Oh, what are you saying that's in there? A whole bean? We want that said differently. So it's just the back and forth between the people that are, whose logo you're putting on there, like for the certifiers and the fair trade associations. Yeah. They have their own thing.
Also just trying to find a manufacturer that we'd be able to work with. That was extremely hard. Yeah. We went through so many phone calls and emails and ending up in dead ends, and that was a struggle in itself. The artwork and all that stuff was actually, was done locally, so we could communicate back and forth a lot easier. But I mean, all the manufacturers are overseas.
And then the final, okay, your bag's going to be here end of January. Well, what starts happening in where they're coming from, China?
Yeah. So,
right. Nope, your bags aren't going to be there in time for your launch.
So we had to use these temporary silver bags.
Oh yeah,
that was a big letdown, but we rolled.
So there was a lot, and we took a lot of courses at the Hamilton Business Center on, like, we're both musicians who have some small sole proprietor knowledge of how to run a business on our own, but not something this level where you have Canadian food inspection issues you have to deal with and all that stuff. Yeah. So we were taking these courses. Most of them are free, some are paid. You take these 4 courses. They're designed to try to access a grant, so they teach you how to do a business plan and all that. And they were fantastic, and I would recommend them. Every community has this type of organization. Every municipality has a business center of some sort where you can just pick their brains all the time, and it was so helpful.
Incredible,
just to teach us. I mean, again, we came out of the music world, not the marketing and accounting world of high school. Courses. So
it's different. I mean, it's a different way of thinking about things. I always thought, there really should, or someone should develop a good business course for musicians that are just based for musicians and people skills. Knowing how to deal with money, especially now. I think with COVID. Understanding how to save, how to invest, and all those things that a lot of musicians aren't great with.
Taxation laws, that's a huge one. Like there was things we learned that, I wasn't doing that right.
There's tons of stuff. And I think,
I wasn't.
They're listening.
Now doing it.
They're listening.
I didn't hear a thing.
I'm now doing it right. Yeah.
Replace tax with
tuxedos.
Yeah. Yes, But there's got to be a ton to grasp and get a hold, let alone setting up online distribution and getting things. When you guys sent me coffee was great because you get that. You can tell kind of a company that's got it together if you get that, and you get the notification that it's been sent, and that whole deal that you expect now when you order something from Amazon or anybody like that. You now expect that from everybody, and that's it's not always an easy situation to make happen. But it was, and you want to know I think you feel important that you're being looked after, or music wise.
There's a bit of a security line there.
Yeah. Big shout out goes to Shopify, where we have our online store with them, and their call center, like to call in to help us as their client. Yeah, we've used extensively, and they've been amazing on just talking you through it, walking you through it, how to run it. From every little aspect of it has just been fantastic. So,
Frank, do you get $5 every time you mention Shopify? Are you buying lunch on tomorrow? Or? Shopify.
I won't play the theme that they when you're on hold though, because you want to start twitching as well. No, it's just been, but that's part of the whole deal. Is it because it's a company that when you get it set up right with them, all that happens. And we've had a couple times where we've got kickbacks where not kickbacks, but where they couldn't be sent. The notification couldn't be sent to the customer. So I called Shopify. They said, oh, they probably have something set up, and so we went into our accounts, cleaned that up, and now we're not having that issue of some customers don't get that notification. Very few. Yeah. But it was, okay, why is that not happening? Call them up, and they usually find that solution for you. So
that's great.
And that's, it's a constant, especially at the beginning when we were launching it, and we were just, it's new, but you're in COVID, we're, shipping was a whole other battle, and we just, extra gray hair. That's why I'm wearing a hat.
Yeah. I think out of every single thing we've had to encounter from beginning to now, the hardest thing would be shipping.
Yeah.
Out of all that stuff, even all the bag stuff I talked about, it's like the hardest thing would have been to get our head, and we're still constantly fighting that because it's just so expensive for shipping. And I mean, people are staying home. So you want your coffee at home, but you're going to pay a premium, well worth it, for organic, fair trade, small batch, fresh coffee. But then the shipping can be almost as much as your coffee.
Yeah.
And then we have ways around it where we have like free shipping over a certain amount and so on and so forth, and discount codes from time to time. But that has been a real struggle for every company, I'm sure.
Yeah, you wonder on some of these companies how they can offer the free shipping, or like the Amazons and stuff. It's it's there's got to be a loss leader there of some sort, or it's got to be built in somehow. But
it's volume as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's if you can get more sold, then that number comes for down. Shipping comes a little bit thinner.
Yeah, if you're saying I only want $1 profit on this product, but you're selling 150,000 units of that every week.
Yeah,
that's a fairly decent profit margin you're making on it. So that's what it comes down to, and we're still just looking at ways of trying to circumvent. And we do have a little driving for local stuff, but as soon as you get out of the GTHA, it starts getting up in price. So
well,
it's always
that stuff too. Customer service is always so important.
Well, and you know what? There was a show I was watching recently. I think it was a masterclass, that entrepreneur show, Frank, I was telling you about. And she talks about, like companies that stay true to their customer service will come out on top. And that's true, no matter how big you get, if you can pay attention to the smallest guy the same way you would the biggest fish, that's saying something for your customer service. I think that's extremely important. And Frank and I come from a place where we demand that. Like, with our purchases or our services or stuff like that, that's hard-earned money that we're all making and giving it out to the world or whatever for a fair trade. But we expect quality and customer service quality back. So I think that's been a real big one, Frank, from the the get-go on both of our parts, was to make sure that customer service is top-notch, 110%.
I don't want me calling me.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I don't want you calling me.
Because I'm one of those. I'm willing to pay for what a service that I know what it is. I know what it costs. But when the company on the other end is dropping the ball on servicing, something along there has to give. Like, there has to either be, either some kind of compensation for it, or just something has to happen. Yeah. So we've been right on top when we haven't had any serious issues. But again, we're having those even notification issues, and I'd have someone saying, sorry, someone.
Hey Siri.
They are listening to you, Frank. They are listening to you, dude.
CRA, not Siri. We took care of that, and they were. I mean, the customers, and I remember delivering to one of these customers like 2 days later, and he was an older gentleman in Toronto. He was like, he couldn't stop thanking me enough to fix his online ordering and stuff like that, and that he was getting all the notifications and it was working. He was very, very pleased with that. He goes, "That's great job, right?" And I'm like, "Okay, good." So, and it's one of those you can go, "Oh, we'll fix it next week." It's like, it's easier just to, and again, with Shopify, I'm not making any money, but just get on the phone and fix it. Just get on the phone and fix it as soon as you can, and then you don't have to worry about it, So, and we learned that. We made small errors on the start, is just in functional errors that we no did that wrong. Let's fix this, and there's always room for learning. We still keep taking different courses on marketing, on how to run our accounting software, all that stuff. That doesn't stop. It doesn't end.
Well, back a few years ago, I ordered something from Sweetwater. Did you ever order from Sweetwater in the States at all?
No, but I know what the music website, right?
Yeah. And they're huge. I've been down there a couple times, and I mean, I got a tour of the warehouse area, and it's like the size of a football field. I mean, it's I mean, larger than that. It's remarkable the amount of stuff that gets shipped through there. Yeah. But I still remember my first order, and then it came literally the next day from the U.S. through customs, the whole deal. Like basically ordered at 4, and it was on my door by 11 the next morning.
Yeah, wow. That's crazy.
First of all, that was like nuts. I was like, how did that happen? I can't even order something from down the road and it comes here the next day.
You can't even order Chinese food and get it there.
No, definitely not. And then a couple hours later, I get a phone call, and I look at it. It says, "Oh, Sweetwater. Huh, I wonder what that is." And it was my sales guy, and he was like, "Hey, I just want to make sure I seen that your order got there. I want to make sure that everything was right in the package and blah blah blah. I appreciate it." And it was like, and then that guy's been my sales guy ever since.
That's cool. I like that.
And I sent him like an email message. Hey, I want this. Can you get that together? And I usually like paying by PayPal, not on my credit card. I said, can you send me PayPal receipt and get it? Yep, no problem. And it's like, bam, it's done within like minutes. And it's, out the door and it's done. And it's, so I always have that kind of as my back of my head is that, they're the kings from when I ordered something. And there's been a few music places around that I've had discussions with, and I won't name who they are. But one, I walked in one day and they were having a kind of a big little opening party thing. And I talked to one of the guys I've known there forever. And I said, one of the things that I hate going into a music store nowadays, and you probably get this, there's a difference between someone coming to buy $100 amp and guitar and a tambourine than someone who wants to come in and buy $5,000 worth of recording equipment or something, or wants to spend a larger amount. And I'd said, you should source one of your sales guys as this is the guy who deals with
pros.
Yeah.
And so,
because Long McQuaid used to be like that. The recording, like every Long McQuaid I was ever in going back 15 years ago, the recording departments would have the recording pro.
Yeah.
Now it's just like you go in there and it's like, is there anybody in the recording department? Oh yeah, so-and-so from guitars will come over and help you, and then it's just not the same level.
Yeah. And then, then you get asked, questions. Oh, cool. Yeah. What are you going to use that for? And it's like, then you say I have a studio. I'm thinking, well, that sounds stupid because everyone says they have a studio. So it's a weird thing going into music stores now because first of all, they don't cater to people who are pros anymore.
Yeah.
And if you want to see any type of, I remember going back in the day into music stores, and there always be like 3 or 4 mixing consoles on the floor that you could sit, recording console. It's like, oh wow, it's the new Soundcraft or whatever, and you can sit in front of it. Now you don't see any of that stuff. You might see a $300 reverb unit up on the wall or some microphones in a display case.
A limited amount of monitors. Like there might be 7 pairs that you can try out or whatever, where there used to be walls of them, right?
Yeah, and the only place that really has some high-end stuff is the flagship Long McQuaid store in Toronto. That
Blur,
no, not the Blur one. That probably is the flagship. There's another one that it's a pro Long McQuaid. They just deal with high-end stuff.
Okay,
where's that?
All right,
I'm trying to remember.
Let's find that.
It's on the east end.
You don't need to go there.
Not Pickering. Is it Pickering? Maybe not Pickering.
No, it's before you get. I'll look it up and send it, but it's it's a pro one, and so I went in there and they had a lot of great stuff. I mean, great stuff looking around, but I got the treatment in there like I was some guy who wanted to buy drumsticks. No offense.
Yeah, well, at least I have drumsticks now.
well,
many of them.
Yeah. And it was like weird. Okay, finally I'm in a spot that, I want to see stuff. And I asked a couple questions on a couple things. And I was like, I felt, you know what? I'm not even going to buy. I could have spent, I was ready to spend some money. And I left and it's like, no, it's not happening. Cause I just, they kind of look at you like you're a nobody. And that's how I felt. And I think, wow, okay, I'm just going to call Sweetwater and order from Sweetwater.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's a great store. I normally, again, along the McQuaid is along the way of anywhere you are, any city you are. Yeah. But there's a store in Oakville, Gear Music on Kerr Street. And their attitude is like, if one of the guys is with, dad that's buying little Johnny or little Janie a guitar to start lessons, and I walk in the door, or any pro player that they recognize, they'll like, hang on a second, sir, Frank, do you need, and it's either if I'm in a hurry because I need some strings or something to get on the road, they'll put this person aside, do the sale, but they just check in to see if I need some service right away.
Yeah.
That's a store that caters to pro players in there, but it's a very small store. But you feel
we will
that.
Not be doing that at Mornin Buzz. Everyone's welcome. Nobody gets pushed to the back line. No one puts Frank in the corner.
That's right.
Well, the tough thing too, I mentioned to someone as well in the music store. We'll get off this subject. But yeah, if you go to a guy in the guitar department or keyboard department, and you asked about, hey, I heard the something keyboard's coming out next week, and they just look at you like, what's that? And I was like, you're in the keyboard department,
Yeah, dude.
And half the day they're just sitting around. You think they should be up on just everything, right? But they've been.
So Long and McQuaid wanted to move to an open concept. So before they used to have the guy that was in the drum department and the guy that was in the bass department, so on and so forth. But in the last couple of years, they've moved to this open concept that everybody should be proficient at every station, so that if, are you free? Okay, well, you go over to the drum guy because there's somebody waiting over there. Mm-hmm. As opposed to walking into the drum department and having the drum guy that you always go see.
Yeah.
And that concept just doesn't work.
No.
But it works fine to the people that are buying the guitar and tambourine and amp.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
But for the pro market, it doesn't work.
Or even mid-range guys that are like, kind of know somewhat what they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's where Cosmo Music has their success, because they have that. They still have there's the drum room, then there's the guitar department, the keyboard department, the recording, and the people in there know their stuff. They do.
It's a great place.
And you have a Starbucks out front, and it's you can get your coffee. Yeah. See, we may have our own coffee company, but we always need coffee. So it's one of those things in life.
So
very proud of that.
Speaking of that, is there any other coffee companies out there that when you're on the road don't have yours that you'll slip into besides Starbucks?
As far as like companies like to go get a beverage, I don't think there's that much out there. We'll always look for that kind of small cafe shop that'll actually probably pour a really nice espresso and make us a decent Americano. But it seems like Starbucks is your McDonald's of coffee. It's everywhere, and on the most front, except for those, New York interstate Starbucks, the majority of them are consistent across the board.
Yeah, they certainly are. Mm-hmm. So talk about Americana and regular brewed coffee. What makes the Americanas that much better?
American. Well, it's so we usually do it's a four espresso shots into hot water, and done on top again at flowers. It's just a stronger. We were both dark roast fans, so it's just a really bold flavorful coffee. And when you do a Stretto shot, it's just a longer process of doing the espresso shot.
Yeah.
So there's even more creaminess to it, sweeter. The sweetness of the bean comes out.
Right. Yeah, it's so much more flavor exploding in those 3 or 4 shots of espresso as opposed to an entire pot or filtered ground coffee being dripped through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You get 12 cups in some of those pots. I think with the espresso, you're getting that real full, rich flavor.
So how do you guys make your coffee in the morning? So you're getting up or any time at home?
I do French press.
Yeah. French press as well.
So I'll grind it and then French press it. Yeah.
That's the way.
Forget about the water boil. Oh, we've got to boil it again. But it's. I mean, I remember the first time trying one. I thought, this is a lot of work. It's either just, but it's not that much more work than the filter. The exception of the filter is you can take it out and throw it in your compost or something like that.
Yeah.
Instead of having to clean out the French press, but it's not a huge. Once you get used to this, I could do it half asleep and boom, there it is. Most times I'll put the beans in the right thing, as opposed to the thermos or something like that. But so that's our choice at home.
Americano at home is not something you would do, or?
Well, I think that I want to do it, but one, I want to have the proper machine to do it, and not $150 to $250 one from Canadian Tire. No offense to anybody who owns those machines, but I mean, they're just not doing what you are going to get even at Starbucks level. Yeah. Like those machines that they're using are $150,000 machines that, as long as the person behind it is doing it right, should be able to pour you or pull you the best shot you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an art that you'd have to learn, and that's a real big mess at home. I think takes it to another whole level.
Yeah. But once you know how to do a proper espresso, it's just the machine. Any good machine starts at about $800 to $1,000 just for the machine itself, and then if you want it to be part of your stuff, there's the plumbing involved, and then it just goes up and up, and you can get into $15,000 very quickly for a little coffee machine at home. So French press is a little cheaper.
When we have our brick and mortar, that's probably when I'll start to learn how to do that. Yeah. When I actually have to buy a machine for our coffee shop, then I'll be like, "Hey, Bartista, come on, show the old guy here
how to do it." Show the owner how to do it.
Come over here.
That's right.
What about the Clover machines they have there at some of the Starbucks? Have you tried?
I have. The press?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
like a reverse French press. What they call it. Yeah, they're tasty.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a gimmick though.
What is with that? Like, would that be considered kind of the upside down?
It's almost like a upside down French press. Stranger Things. I don't know. It seems like a lot.
I tried it. Yeah.
They're good. Yeah. They charge you a little extra for it.
Nothing pops out though.
To me, while I looked at when I remember talking to the one, I think it was here, Ontario. There's a 24-hour Starbucks, so of course I know where it is. Of course, I know where it is. And it seems to take up a lot of its counter space just for that one thing that only a few people seem to have.
Yeah.
And you didn't see it in a lot of Starbucks.
I've never seen anybody else get it, and I've only got it twice.
I've seen a few.
But takes up the whole back end of their counter.
Yeah, and it seems kind of messy. I mean, all the grinds come up, and they got to scrape it off the top. And it seems like a novelty to some degree. But I know some people get it or search for Starbucks that have it just to make sure they.
Now a flat white.
Mm-hmm.
Flat white, that kind of coffee, that sticks in my head. That Kona coffee sticks in my head. The Mornin Buzz coffee, I'm telling you, hand to God, sticks in my head. The flavor.
Yeah.
I know what that Sting flavor tastes like. I know what that flat white tastes like. But I couldn't tell you what that Cloverdale tasted like. Like it wasn't enough.
Well, they usually have about 3 or 4 different more exotic roasts that you can pick from. And then it grinds the beans and then does its thing. So
does its whole thing. Yeah. It was. I mean, again, when it was there, I tried it, and then it's a busy location, and it was just one of those. Just an Americano will be faster. I was teaching down in Port Credit, so I was on my way to work, and I didn't have time anymore. You couldn't order that, and that wasn't on the app either. I couldn't get the Clover on the app, at least. Back when I had the app.
Yeah,
so
you can't. Yeah,
it was easier for me. I see a lineup, I'll just fire the app up and put my order in, and they start that one first.
They'll still do a French press for you now, won't they? If you ask for it.
Will they do one?
Yeah, I think that they will, but you have to wait. Like you have to sit there and wait the whole X amount of minutes for it to do its thing.
Sure, the only other coffee that I've had in the last year that I was really surprised about was the Black Rifle. Have you tried that yet?
Oh, no, but I love that company.
Yeah.
I love what they're about for sure. I haven't tried it.
They have a Canadian location out near Edmonton.
Cool.
And I just stumbled. I don't know, maybe it's because of a Joe Rogan podcast. They were talking about it, and I ordered some, and it was the only coffee. I think you would like it. It's similar to yours. It's like one of those where you drink it, you're just like, oh,
okay.
you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah. We got
that's
try
a coffee.
Yeah, cool. And they're about veterans, right? Like they're all about veterans, and that's I love that stuff.
Yeah, they have a
big
great background, and they got a lot of support there. So yeah, that's. But yeah, it's difficult when you go to Costco and you see the big, huge bags of coffee, and you think that, okay, that's how long that's been sitting around, and by the time it gets there and then it gets to you, and you try to get through that whole bag, it does make a bit of a difference once you crack that bag open and it's sitting there for a while. And
you would be shocked, or maybe you wouldn't be shocked by how many people still think that that's a better way to go because of what price tag is tagged onto that. Sure. A lot of people talk about, well, that huge bag you're talking about at Costco is $8.99. How could you sell yours for $17.99? It's only 1 pound. This is 450 pounds. Coffee bean for $8.99. Like, how could you not think that's amazing? And that's cool. I get that. But
well, there's people who go to Tim Hortons every day. So
there you go. Yeah.
Oh, did I say that?
Oh, hold on.
Well, I got to tell you that downstairs in my freezer is a jar of instant decaf for my stepfather-in-law. Even though we have a fantastic decaf, I have all kinds of really great coffee here, including Kona beans here once in a while. I don't know if we get them in that. Oh, and he will take the instant. More. He will take the instant and
there's no knocking.
And there's no you can't knock that. Like. It's the same way, if someone loves the clover and that's what they're going to go and search for, then I will never knock someone's, I'm a black coffee drinker, but I'm not going to knock someone that puts, 4x4 in their coffee, and
we get
that's
asked
how you like
that question all the time is, how do you make a good coffee? How do you do this? How many scoops of this should you have over that? Well, there are kind of guidelines, but what the people say is the right combo. But at the end of the day, we say every single time, it's all what you like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you like a drip pot machine like my parents did growing up, and you like that pot to sit on the warmer all day, and you like to fill your cup up every couple hours, fill your boots. That's awesome, Yeah. It's just everyone's they like their own thing, so go for it. Yeah.
Back in the day when I was just out of high school when I started working at Cedar Tree recording studio in Kitchener with Rick.
Oh yeah, cool, yeah.
And but their coffee regiment was just horrible. I mean, they had this old coffee machine, and they would sit there in the burner for hours, and they go up and drink a black, and it was just like, and it really, I really didn't drink coffee until maybe 10 years ago. And I think it was. I was just traumatized by that coffee there because it just smelled burnt and and it just didn't
bar coffee.
Yeah,
you go play a gig and you're like, hey guys, get any coffee like in the ranch or something.
No.
And then they give you the bar coffee. It's like dun 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 dun. The only time that's good is in the morning when they're all just getting to work.
Yeah,
that's the only time that's good when you play the matinee.
I think Rick now gets skipped the dishes from the Starbucks, 10 kilometers away from his studio.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he just drank that stuff. It was like awful, but he worked a lot of hours, so it kept him going.
For sure, man. Everything works, and I still that sometimes that drip coffee, that could be a Mother Parker's at a breakfast diner. That will do it for me in the morning. If it's that particular kind of meal.
We were just in Calgary recently doing a gig, and we went to this great breakfast place that Frank found. Four of us went the next day or whatever, and we had the coffee. Frank and I ordered a Americano.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't. Yeah. I couldn't tell the difference. I couldn't tell because we finished that coffee, and she come back around with the pot because the other two people were with had drip coffee.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I just get a refill just of the normal coffee? Yeah, no problem. I couldn't tell you.
It's the same. I think that's they just charge us more.
Yeah.
I think it was only fast too.
I think it was a 2-shot Americano. So I think we're so used to like a.
But they're in small cups.
Should have been it should have been a 3-shot still. I think we should.
Or you think you still would have felt some full body on the side of the tongue, like just something pungent, something present. And
it was also minus 14 degrees, so maybe that was very cold.
Taste buds were frozen from the night before, sure.
I heard about that gig actually because I interviewed Greg Shannon, and he was at the gig. I didn't know you guys did it until actually just a few hours ago, and I was looking and I saw your pictures there. I was like, oh, you guys were playing. But
the same night?
Yeah. Yeah, so
who's Greg?
Greg Shannon is the morning guy for CFCW in Edmonton.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's been a huge radio guy in Canada for years and years and years and years on CMT and the whole deal. But yeah, he came down with his wife. He said, actually, there was this pre-show talk, and then he was talking about how cold it was.
It was.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you. So the sound check, it was like a nice evening in Cuba because I had the propane heater blowing on me. I thought I'm gonna enjoy this gig, and I was talking about it to these guys. Yeah, I'm pretty good over here, but they didn't they didn't turn the heaters down for the 5 hours that we weren't on stage. So by the time we hit stage, it was blowing cold. They ran out of propane. So we were 90 minutes in minus 14. Pure guitar stayed in tune because there was nothing to heat it up.
Yeah.
Right.
It was cold hands on cold guitar. So that was the only benefit.
He did say.
So you don't even have your fingers anymore, eh, Frank? You got the
He did say he felt sorry for the band because you played for a couple guys.
90-minute set. We did a Shania and a Keith Urban tribute. So it was back to back. So it was not even like 10 minutes to go in. And, I had these like Hot Pockets or whatever.
Yeah.
They lasted 3 songs and there was just plastic in my pocket at that point. That's not going to work. Ed's toes were, he didn't feel them for.
No, listen, I'll tell you something like that on those gigs. You won't hear me complaining because I feel for you guitar players and bass players having like that. Drummers, whatever, like at the end of it, I was kind of more clubbing it like a caveman just because trying to hold on to the sticks. But you won't hear me complaining, buddy. You guys
there's steam coming off your head, though.
There. I even took a toque off. I was removing layers. So what do I have to complain about?
But there was a point we're doing I think we're either doing one of the Shania ballads or the Keith Urban, and I got to play these gentle parts and I'm shivering, so my hands just like shaking away. I'm like, okay, stop,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I mean, we've got some video, and it's like, wow, that sounds actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was, once you listen back to it, you just because I remember the first half of the show, I was like, okay, just get through this song,
Yeah.
And then we got to the Keith Urban portion. Okay, just get through this verse, get to the guitar solo, get out of the song, get to the next song, and see if I survive that next song. And I was like, there's points I was thinking, I probably got frostbite somewhere going on here, and but everything's fine. So
yeah.
Well, Frank, did you want me to call up the band again in case you want to keep complaining about it, or
I got no cheese here to go with my wine. So.
Give them a call, maybe set up a Zoom meeting after this.
Roger that.
That's funny.
I'm still bitterly cold.
It's all jokes here, buddy.
Haven't even been able to take the toque off that I was wearing that night. It's like frozen in my head.
You have patches of your gloves still stuck to your skin.
Got a steamer out.
Man.
It was fun though. For sure. Hey, it was weird. Weird flying. It was weird flying, Darren.
Yeah, how was that? I mean, I haven't been on the plane all year.
Well, we'll tell you. Ed, do you want to tell them about the first flight?
Well, on the way there, it was pretty clear. I mean, Frankie had your own seat. Yeah. I think I was sharing with one of our bandmates, but nobody in the middle. There was nobody. It was quite spread out. It was an Air Canada flight. On the way back, not so much. It was shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
But the itinerary, and I understand with COVID, the itinerary was a 1 hour flight to Ottawa from Toronto, 5.5 hour layover in Ottawa, and then the 4 and odd hour flight to Calgary from there. So it's very strange, There
might have been a couple double vodka Caesars drank.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
COVID killers.
5 hours worth of them.
Someone's got to come up with the drink, the COVID killer, and sell it at the airport.
And there was not a good cup of coffee to be had in that airport anywhere. So it was very frustrating.
Was not.
You know,
wow.
The Starbucks was even closed, so that wasn't, you know.
Well,
so
overall, fun gig.
Yeah.
It's a gig in 2020, and you can talk about it.
Yes.
So we've done a couple drive-in theaters over the summer.
Yeah.
And, you know, coming up to that, we were so looking forward to it. You know, we were just so stoked that we hadn't played for so long, still just trying to wrap our head around the world that we're in. But we're going to get to go do a gig, and we're going to get to go do it in a unique situation that none of us have ever done before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we get there. The first day we had 2 gigs in one day, of course. Go figure. No gigs for 8 months, and then 4.5 hours apart from each other.
Yeah.
But it was pouring. And then,
man.
so as much as I give them props and thank yous from the bottom of my heart, it was still frustrating for us because there was no front of house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was no PA. So there was nothing to feel off of. There was you just had wedges, and that's what you were playing to. And then the rest was mixed to the car audio or to the radio, right?
Yeah.
So that was very, after the novelty of the finish a song and beep, 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 and lights flashing, which was very cool and awesome.
Yeah.
Warmed our hearts right up. But after 4 song of that, it's like, you're not feeling it, like just the vibe. And that was frustrating. Where the Calgary gig we just did had full PA that we were playing a real show to,
to people,
Yeah.
The drive-in thing, it's something,
It is.
It is a Passover. You can see now that I don't think there's anyone making money at it. Unless it was heavily sponsored, if it's a heavily sponsored event, which some of them are, then there's some money to be had. But as a person who's putting on the show, I haven't heard anyone has made money on them.
No,
and how long do you want to do that for? I mean,
right.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, going forward, all the chatter is that, at least till the fall of next year. So we're looking at another summer the same way. But I think the thing like we did with the hotels, playing on the courtyard, or the pool level so if a hotel has that set up, they can sell the rooms that way. So there will be more work next summer. It's still not going to be, I don't imagine it's going to be those theater shows, not going to be the festival shows like before. But there will be more of it because it started getting going maybe late July, early August. Like there wasn't really a lot of shows because everyone was trying to figure out how to do it, and everyone had to wait till the opening for that. So if it stays with that same kind of thing, at least we can get some kind of work with drive-ins and that, and as long as there's some financial backing for it. Yeah,
as long as the backing's there. That the only problem is another 6, 7, 8 months from now, in the summer, are people going to be, or is there going to be companies that want to spend that type of money? I mean, there are places that are doing better business than I've ever done. There is money being made. It's just whether, is money to put behind those type of things, or the government going to put money behind those things. So
imagine 6, 7, 8 months of all these entrepreneurs, all these, different promoters and such, conjuring up and thinking of new ways to do this or new ways to make money. There's going to be a lot of new things come about, I think, in the next 8 months.
Because it's going to be a long winter. It's a long winter.
It's going to be a long winter for people who aren't sitting there brewing up ideas. Yeah. And then
I don't want to disagree with you, but I kind of disagree with you. I think they've all been taken up already. I don't know how many more ideas there are. That's the thing, though. You don't know until somebody comes up with that's a great idea. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's going to be something.
A lot of time for people to sit there and
it just still to get people mass gathered together. It's
I think people would be people in general. If there was a vaccine, or if it had run its course, I don't think it would take that. I mean, there are going to be some people that are hesitant, but there will be people that would fill theaters up again and stuff like that. Yeah, it's going to be which insurance company is going to want to carry that liability first. That's the whole thing. Live Nation is talking about why they're waiting till fall of 2021 because they don't know who's going to insure this. Like, who wants to take that liability? Because that's a huge thing. Like, if you do get an outbreak at an event like that, I mean it. But at the same time, we were on a 250 people packed on an airplane. Yet for 4 hours, yet you can't fill a theater for an hour and a half for a show.
It is bizarre with that.
It's weird that certain things can happen. And that.
Yeah. And
well,
I think
we just have to muscle through it. That's.
Yeah. I look at that, and that is true. I mean, you're packed in an airplane. I mean, what's the difference letting that happen over
totally
letting a show? I mean, I don't think
on an airplane you can take your mask off and eat or drink as well.
Yeah.
You're
not going to sit there and take a mask off and eat or drink in a theater.
No.
Yeah.
So it's even more safe, I would think.
And it's all the same air.
It's all the same air, right?
Not getting fresh air up there. It's
well,
right?
there's the issue of getting people in and out. As we know, a lot of these lobbies are pretty small. Washrooms can't. They don't know how to deal. They can get people in the seats. It's once they're in their seats, it's typically fine. It's the getting them in, getting them out, dealing
and the
with
lost
washroom.
revenue of a bar. Like you can't all of a sudden you can't function an intermission bar or a pre-show bar. That's a huge loss for them as well too, right? So
I've been on a bunch of Zoom meetings and stuff from venues across Canada, and they're they all have plans. They have we could do this, we could do that. They have it laid out, but none of it makes any sense.
Well, you have a venue as well, right, Darren?
Yeah.
So you're dealing with it as we speak.
See, getting them in and out. I mean, you could probably get around that mentally, but the bathroom thing, I don't know how you'd get it around that.
It's really difficult. I mean, it's that one thing alone in our venue would just shut it down. I mean, unless you'd have someone who would have to clean after every 3 or 4 people went in or something. And it's not only that, I think for a lot of theater gigs, it depends on the show you're doing, but a lot of theater gigs are an older audience.
Yes, that's it.
And those people aren't comfortable going out. Younger audience, yes. We just had a call here today from people who come to our theater all the time, and they were just calling to say hello and checking in. They were, just kind of fishing to see what was going to maybe happen next year and that. And they basically said, we haven't left our house since March.
Wow.
And they haven't. Like their daughter brings them their groceries. They've been at home since March because they're scared to go because they're older. And I know a lot of clients who have called in have been exactly the same way. They haven't gone anywhere. They might have, they might live in an apartment building or condo building. They go across the hallway to their friends that they know haven't left the building either. And that's all they do. And
at least they have that. Some people, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Big time.
But those people are it's going to be tough to get those people out. A lot of people are thinking that the industry is going to, take off. And it's going to be a slow climb.
Yeah.
And a change. It's going to be different than it was before that start of that climb.
And you can't.
Absolutely.
The other issue is you can't have everyone at the starting gate at once. So you take, take all the shows you play in. They scattered throughout the year, right? They're here and there. Sometimes you don't go back to a place for a couple of years, whatever that is. But now you've got everybody sitting there wanting to go off the starting gate at the same time. And they're all just trying to figure out when that date is when they all can, the gates open and the race starts. And there's only, it's like any race. There's only one winner. And the second and third place. And there's a bunch of people that don't make it and, bow out. So that's the thing is, do you want to be in that first bunch? Because there's only going to be a few of those people that will be successful. And there won't be an audience. There won't be enough people. It's already going to be a reduced audience. And then there's not going to be enough people to go out to all these shows. It's going to be weird on how they stagger things, or everyone's just going to go, we're going. And, away you go. So it's difficult. It's weird.
It's weird for sure.
Strange times. I mean, historically every pandemic is about a year and a half from the safety time, and we're only at the 7-month mark, or if we consider sort of March our shutdown time. So, but I mean, I remember back in March reading about 2 weeks in Italy being locked down, and here we are I thought, how could you be locked down for 2 weeks? Yeah. Here we are, 7 months later, and still not having any kind of normalcy. For me, thankfully, and I think for Ed too, having a coffee company to start and launch, as much as that came with its own set of difficulties, took our brains away from the fact that our entire 25, 30 years of what I've done for my life has been, the rug's been pulled out from under me. And
almost the perfect time, really, to launch it.
I'm sure a lot of people think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of people think that we launched it because we lost, the music job. But honestly, we had planned April 2nd for months prior to that as our launch. It just happened that way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, now you have all this extra time to educate yourself. And you wouldn't have had all that time.
That's right, man.
It just, and same with me. I've been learning new stuff in the studio and everything. I mean, there's a bunch of new things I've done that I wouldn't have never had time before. So there's a part of it that I'm very thankful for. And a part of it I'm not thankful for at all. But
totally.
You have to kind of look at it as a blessing of some sort. Right?
Yeah, totally, man. Look at it positive.
It was strange, like just for that Calgary thing. I mean, I didn't like.
Ed, you go.
Oh, I thought we were both frozen there for a second.
No,
I just remember hearing from an athlete back years ago. I don't remember exactly who it was, talking about. I think it was Michael Jordan talking about always being prepared. So in off season, like when you have downtime, you should be prepared for that next phone call. The next game to be called out upon, right? So us, it's like gigs. It's like that's why we practice. We keep up our chops. And hone those skills so that when we get the call for that gig, we're ready to go. This has been one of those times, I think, that a lot of people have taken advantage of that. But there's been that struggle of emotions and mental well-being, that, depression and situational depression, or, where you want to work on all these skills and you want to fill your schedule up with all these master classes and courses and tons of hours of practicing, or recording projects, and then you have to fight this demon that is trying to push you down, because it can be pretty thick and heavy.
Pretty dark. It can be pretty dark. Your sort of entire definition of who you are has just been stopped. It's like you have to reinvent. It's like, I'm not that person, at least for now. For the next year and a half, I'm not that person. No matter, even those smattering of shows, and that really showed it. I mean, even just like packing to go to a trip to Calgary for 2 nights, like all that, we did the other one on the bus trip out that way too. We did a modified darts bus tour out to Alberta. Yeah. What do you put in I don't even know what to put in a suitcase anymore, after not doing it for 6 months. It's very strange how to pack your gear. Cause when I knew it was shut down, I pulled all my guitars out into this room. And had everything wired so I could practice.
This is what you bring, Frank.
And then I didn't know how to we had good backline, but I mean, I didn't even know how to pack gear anymore. Like it's like I got to make sure I got all the cables, because that became just so routine. We were just you're home Sunday night, and by Wednesday you're packing again for Thursday morning flight or wherever you're going, and it just became so natural to do it that when it stopped.
It was interesting the phone call we got today from the client also made a comment, which I never thought about anyone thinking about this. They said, well, we're wondering about next summer as well, because a lot of these shows haven't performed for a year, and how good are they going to be?
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's an interesting thought from an audience perspective. But you could see, if you're sitting around house not thinking of anything, and that kind of comes up in your brain, then I would think that everyone still rehearses, and there's times where you have weeks off between gigs, and you can be sloppy. It's no different. You just get up and play. So I don't think most of the audience would ever know, but it's obviously on some people's minds.
Yeah. I mean, we were pros at it, and it still was like a little nerve-wracking to do that first. Like even when we were doing a little video shoot the first time, and we hadn't played music with each other for, I think at that point, 4.5 months.
Yeah.
And we're setting up, and it's just weird to start making noise, and then, okay, let's just start jamming out just to sort of warm up, get the cobwebs off. And that
but it felt good.
It felt good, but it
felt good. I remember
it did feel good. And then going live, and of course, you're the first time back, we had from the bad weather to not good text to not good this to like just not being fed. It was everything that could possibly go wrong happened on the same comeback day twice. It's like why am I in this industry
it's
again?
Like a Twilight episode.
All this stuff
Twilight
you hate about the industry, because you're going to come across those moments all the time.
Down that day.
Yeah.
I'd say that in the previous 5 years up to that, it's been 85-90% great gigs with the odd.
There's always the odd one.
It's just the odd one that's just not as well run or whatever.
I think everyone needs to have those odd ones just to make sure they know how good the good ones are.
Absolutely, keep you humble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But they suck no matter what. Slices and dice it all you want, buddy. It still sucks.
I won't say who. I just got asked about a gig in December on an afternoon on a Saturday in a bar. I mean, the money was like.
Well, come on, tell us.
Well, it's like $100 for a 4-hour call. I'm like, no way. I'd rather say, hi, welcome to Walmart. Like, I can't go in reverse. Now, if it was the problem with
I'll take those gigs. Anybody who's watching.
No, to play guitar.
If the band was specifically different players, I'd be more inclined to say yes to something like that, more for the fun of doing it.
Yeah.
For the pure pleasure of doing it than for the money part of it. Because if the money part, I could get a job at Walmart and greet people or whatever, But
so here's a question for you. If Mornin Buzz just took off like crazy and it was totally consuming every hour of your day, would you be okay with that taking over your music?
Yes.
Well, go. You answer first, Frank, and then I'll answer for myself.
No, I'm going to say yes. I mean,
go for it.
I also found. I mean, and I find that with the slowdown in music, and it'll still carry into next summers. It gives us more chance to focus again on the company that we didn't have that opportunity when we would have been touring normally. Yeah. We would have been candle at both ends, burning, and doing that at the same time. So now we have the focus to make the things that are great about the company better, fix any little tweak things, learn our social media, learn our marketing skills. That's a huge thing that we want to learn, and all these little things. We have more time for it. So for the short term, and if I'm talking the next year and a half, I can accept that on the success of the company.
Now
and my wife is working, and so that helps, and I do live in Canada, so I'm helping with, I get to draw from CERB and CRB has been beneficial in that way. So it's not making me destitute, and have family support.
But what if it had to take over your music? Like you had to make a choice.
I could
do it.
I don't know. I have to think about it. I guess at this point, I'm going to say yes. I'm old enough to say yes. I mean,
well, that's, you know what?
I got to wait for Ed.
So you're watching it squirm in your chair.
I never knew this.
How do you feel?
The light's getting brighter. The light's getting brighter.
My hat's coming off now.
It's melting.
Steve.
Ed, same question.
Listen, man. When we started this company, I knew that music, like as a drummer, it beats the shit out of your body. Like it beats you up. So I knew that, like, am I going to be playing drums? Hopefully I'm playing drums till the day I die. But I knew that I was going to probably need to have something else. I mean, I also do recording, and I also do video editing, and I also do teaching. I have a huge passion for teaching, but I don't think none of those will ever stop. It's just on the other side. So like on the coffee side, I have a huge passion for coffee. Yeah. So to me, it's not a bad thing if the one takes over the other. Now, if this took right off and I just couldn't accept the same lifestyle, gigging lifestyle, or that kind of thing, then absolutely 110%. I would just do that because that's what the universe was telling me that I'm supposed to be doing. That's fine with me because I don't feel like I, haven't been there, done that in music. And I mean, there's still lots to experience and all that stuff. I'm not saying I've done it all. I haven't, but I've had a very blessed life in the music industry, and I've got to see tons of stuff and got to experience and make great relationships and music relationships with amazing human beings. And that will never stop for me. But if a company just takes off in something I'm extremely passionate about, absolutely. I'm ready to set sail for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's a good place to be when you're in a business, right? And that's a tough decision when you're a musician. And I fought with that too. I mean, I've played since I was 4. And nowadays, to be truthful, I don't remember the last time I opened my case, like my fiddle case. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
But I'm not sitting here missing it.
Right.
If I had a choice, if I got an offer to go out and do this wonderful gig, it would be great.
Yeah.
But I filled myself with other things that are still super creative, and bring enjoyment, and you just fill that void with something else.
So I've always said it to when people are talking about depression with COVID and all this, and like my gig's been pulled out from under me. I mean, that is terrible. I would never even downplay that for a second. But I was more than music when I was music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I have other interests and passions. Same with Frank. Yeah. That's another thing why Frank and I hit it off at the beginning, because we both have a passion for cooking. And we just be like, hey, look what I made last night. Here, try this, try that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I'm not too worried that my life is going to end. I mean, it sucks. Like that was a huge part of my identity.
Yeah.
It is a huge part of my identity. But I also have another huge part of it too, right? So
I've watched.
I kind of hold on to that one.
In the first, and I did not delete my Facebook, but I deactivated it so I can still have Facebook Messenger. But I kind of got, as the summer got on, I said I just can't take this anymore. But what I did watch with musicians that I followed, some of them that particularly it happened if they didn't have children or any sort of relationship that was grounding, and they only had music, and they dove into like practice and discovering everything. That 2-3 months later, they were kind of going a little squirrely on the other end because that's all they had, and there was no outlet for it. And again, people were streaming off their phones and off their computers at home, and you're watching it, and the audio is not great. Some companies started doing it better. I know with even what's his name, Weckerly at the El Macombo, has a full soundstage production, so it's a great production. So it's hard to be that, and I'm glad that I have a wife at home, and for me it was the garden this summer on top of the coffee company. Those two things, making my passata with the tomatoes, and I got a fig tree this year that got about 24 figs off of it, and those things definitely saved, and just even spending, with the exception of going out to Alberta for 6 days or whatever we were away from home, I had dinner with my wife almost every night.
Yeah.
Which is something that for the last we've been married 26 years. Mm-hmm. For those years, I've been, home from Monday through Wednesday, and then,
That's a pretty good record, especially seeing she doesn't really like you.
I know.
She just got stuck with me. She goes, figured she was going to drop me at some point, and then you got better with age, like wine. That's what I say. Like a wine. I was a little rough at the time. I was vinegar at the start. Yeah.
Well, it's good. Is that
your technology, Frank?
Yeah. You're
did I glitch?
You hit your microphone and then it started crackling. Give it a little wiggle there.
Oh, am I good now? Am I good now? How am I now?
It's still a little bit crackling.
Yes,
no? Okay. No, still cracking.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Oh, hang on.
Just move it around a little bit and see if it.
Can we fix it?
There you go. Oh.
That's right there.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Is that better? Okay.
You need a new set.
I got this from Ed, so I gotta,
Great friend.
Hey, it was cheap. It was cheap.
I want to know.
That was cheap.
Hey, these are crapping out. You want them?
$30. $30, man.
No, I like them. I like what Darren's got there. We need a little boom and a mic like that.
Well, they sound good. Some guests I have in with the AirPods on, I'll be immediately, take those out and let's just go with computer audio because they don't translate on Zoom at all.
Yeah, that's right.
Phone calls they do, but
the problem is though. Then, now that we talked about the multiple audio option, then you can condition each one separately what they need.
Yeah.
Because the problem we found is that you have a nice mic like that, but just you have it, then your voice sounds dreamy and radio worthy. And then you got the one guy that's it's like,
sorry, my distortion pedal was on over here. Running through my system. Get a little wow.
Well, we've been rolling for a while. We didn't get really into a deep dive in you guys' careers, but let's wrap up. We'll do another one of these and kind of get into kind of where you guys grew up and how you got into music and all that stuff.
Cool.
But let's wrap up on one or two more questions. As a musician side of things, this is one I always like to ask. Do you have any venues or places out there? It could be a venue or a city or country that you've always wanted to perform at that you haven't had a chance yet.
I'm trying to think if I've played your theater.
No, you haven't.
I don't think
I would
I
have remembered.
Yeah.
It's not usually on anyone's list, but thanks.
No.
No, both of us. That's their number one.
We're just trying to we're getting understanding your good side there, Darren. No, I think something like a Carnegie Hall or the Beacon Theater in New York. I saw a show there, and I just thought that's a stage. It's like sort of Massey Hall, like for the Toronto crowd.
Yeah.
If I could do that one, that's one place, the Beacon Theater in New York.
I think mine would be Red Rock.
Yeah, that's pretty usually 1 out of 5 say Red Rock.
Yeah. Or the Hollywood Bowl, the bowl there or something like. I really like amphitheaters. I like that vibe of outdoor, but they're surrounded in as opposed to just straight flat out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Works good.
That's nice.
All right, guys. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, man.
And definitely anyone that's listening, get online and buy some damn coffee because it's great stuff. Mornin Buzz Coffee. It's Morning. I should know this because I've said it enough times. Is it Mornin Buzz Coffee.buzz or just
Mornin Buzz?
Mornin Buzz Coffee.buzz.
And you can order online, get shipped to you, and you get notifications and everything.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's Mornin, no G.
That's right.
So Mornin Buzz.
Yeah.
But if you accidentally type the G in there, it'll still take you to the website.
There you go.
You got that
we even fixed the problem. Spell checker correction sometimes does that to you.
And it is seriously great coffee. And you've done a great job. And I wish you well with all that. And it's been a pleasure having you on and getting to chat. And besides that, is there any other way or social media that they should be following with? I guess you search for Mornin Buzz on Facebook and Instagram.
Instagram is Mornin Buzz Coffee, and Facebook is Mornin Buzz, and you'll find us on those locations.
Any Christmas specials coming up or anything that's
yeah, there'll be Christmas specials.
We're in November now, so it's Remembrance Day stuff. So we're all honoring the vets and different things about coffee and military history and
excellent
and whatnot.
Excuse me. Perfect. For the whole month as well.
Yeah,
we think it doesn't get enough acknowledgement in one day, so
the
whole month.
Good, excellent.
And then Christmas comes around.
It's going to be a different Christmas this year.
It's good.
It is, man.
Yeah.
I'm embracing for impact. All good's here. Good.
Good. Well, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you again real soon. Appreciate it.
Okay, brother.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Take
Be
care.
well, man.
Thanks.
Be well. Take care, man.